Yes, acknowledged.
New construction options. Building. Construction complete. New construction options. Building. Construction complete. New construction options. Building. Training. Unit ready. Training. On hold.
Acknowledged. Agreed.
Cancel.
Affirmative.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Yes, sir.
Training.
Agreed.
Unit ready.
Ready and waiting. At
Training.
once. Reporting.
Unit ready.
At once.
Training.
Reporting.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Yes, sir.
Training.
Very well.
Unit ready.
Awaiting
Construction
orders.
complete.
Agreed.
Training. Unit ready. Training.
Awaiting
New
orders.
construction options.
At once.
Building. Unit ready. Training.
Ready and
Construction
waiting.
complete.
Affirmative.
Unit ready. Training. Unit ready. Building. On hold. Cancel.
Yes,
Training.
sir. At once.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Reporting. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Silos needed. Construction complete. New construction options. Building. On hold. Cancel. On hold. Cancel. Building.
Reporting.
Unit lost.
Agreed. Very well.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
At once. Affirmative.
Construction complete. New construction options. Unable to comply. Building
Reporting.
in progress. Building.
Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative. Awaiting orders. Very well.
Unit
Affirmative.
lost. Construction complete. New construction options.
Yes, sir.
Building.
Yes, sir. Very well. Affirmative.
Silos needed.
Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Vehicle report. Acknowledged.
Building.
Reporting. At once.
Construction
At
complete.
once. Vehicle report. Affirmative.
Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. At once. At once. Affirmative. Of course.
lost.
Affirmative. At once. Very
Construction
well.
complete.
Very well.
Unit lost.
Reporting. At once. Affirmative. Affirmative. Yes, sir.
Unit lost.
Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Very well. Very well.
Construction
Affirmative.
complete.
At once. Agreed.
Unit lost.
Affirmative.
Cannot deploy here.
Reporting. Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building. Unit lost. Unit ready.
Yes,
Building. Unit ready. Building. Unit ready. Building. Construction complete. Unit ready. Building. Unit ready. Unit ready. Building. Unit ready. Building. Construction complete. Unit ready. Building. Unit ready. Unit ready. Building. Unit ready.
Yes,
Building. On hold. Construction complete. Silos needed. Building. Unit ready. Building. Unit ready.
Waiting order.
Construction complete. Building. Unit ready. Unit ready. Building. Unit ready. Unit ready. Building. Unit ready. Building. On hold. Construction complete. New construction options. Unit ready. Cancel. Building. Construction complete. On
Waiting
hold.
order. Affirmative.
Unable to comply. Building in progress. Construction complete. Unit ready. Building. New construction options. On hold. Building. Construction complete. Building. Building. Construction complete. Building. Unit ready. Construction complete. Building. Unit ready. Building. Construction complete. Unit ready. Building. Unit ready. Building. On hold. Cancel. Unit ready. Building. Construction complete. Unit ready. Building. Unit
Yes, sir.
ready. Building. Building.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready. Building.
Vehicle
Insufficient
report.
funds.
Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Repair.
Yes, sir.
Unit
Acknowledged.
ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Construction complete. Cannot deploy here. Unit ready.
Yes, sir.
Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit
Reporting.
ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building. Construction complete. Cannot deploy here. Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Awaiting orders. Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Yes, sir.
Construction complete. Building.
Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir.
Building.
Affirmative. 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 Yes, sir. Affirmative. 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 Affirmative.
Unit
Yes, sir.
ready.
Vehicle
Building.
reporting. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Construction
Affirmative.
complete. Primary building selected.
Awaiting
Unit
orders.
ready. Building. Unit ready. Building. Unit lost. Lost. Unit ready. Building. Unit lost.
Awaiting orders. Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged.
Lost.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged. Awaiting
Building.
orders. Acknowledged.
Unit lost. Building.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Unit lost. Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Affirmative.
Building. Unit lost. Construction complete.
Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Report once.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir.
Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Very well. Very
Construction
affirmative.
complete. Unit ready. Building.
Report acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Vehicle reporting. Acknowledged. Vehicle report acknowledged.
Complete. Prepared. Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Construction complete.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting. Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledged.
lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Construction complete.
Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Lost.
Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledged.
lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Building. Unit lost. Building.
Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Unit
Yes, sir.
lost. Building. Unit
Acknowledged.
lost.
Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Waiting
Unit
order.
lost. Insufficient
sir.
funds.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Cancel. On hold. Building.
Reporting. Vehicle reporting. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Vehicle reporting. Acknowledged.
Construction complete.
Affirmative.
Cannot deploy here. Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Building. Unit ready.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged. Vehicle reporting.
Construction complete. Unit ready. Building.
Awaiting orders. Nothing.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledged.
ready. Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Yes, sir.
Ready.
Acknowledged.
Building. Construction complete. Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Yes, affirmative. Vehicle report. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Building. Unit lost.
Awaiting orders.
Construction complete.
Affirmative.
Unit lost. Unit ready. Building. Cannot deploy here. Unit
Yes, sir.
ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Reporting.
Unit ready.
Comrade.
Building. Unit lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledged.
ready.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged, sir. Vehicle reporting.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Comrade?
Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building. Unit ready. Building.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building.
Comrade?
Unit ready. Building.
Reporting. Affirmative.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Waiting order. Reporting.
Construction complete. Unit ready. Building. Primary building selected. Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir.
Unit
Yes,
ready.
sir. Acknowledged. Waiting
Building.
order. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building. Unit
Reporting.
lost.
Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Waiting order. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledged.
lost.
Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. 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 Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Construction
Acknowledged.
complete. Unit ready.
Reporting.
Building.
Waiting order.
Insufficient funds.
Acknowledged. Vehicle reporting. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Lost.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative. Affirmative.
Lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Reporting. Yes, sir. Reporting. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Comrade. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged.
Unit lost. Unit lost.
Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Reporting.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Reporting. Reporting.
Construction complete.
Reporting. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. 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 Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative.
Lost.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit lost. Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative.
Unit
Affirmative.
lost.
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Yes, sir.
Unit lost.
Comrade.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir.
Building. Unit lost. Unit ready.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Building. Unit lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledged.
ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Vehicle report.
Unit ready.
Comrade. Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Vehicle reporting.
Building.
Waiting orders. Affirmative.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Acknowledged.
lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit
Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. 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 Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. No problem.
Unit
Affirmative.
lost.
Yes, sir.
Unit
Ready and
lost.
waiting. Agreed.
Unit ready.
Agreed.
Building.
Agreed. Comrade. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit
No
lost.
problem. Affirmative.
ready.
Comrade. Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledged.
ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit
Affirmative.
lost.
Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged.
Insufficient
Affirmative.
funds.
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledged.
lost.
Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Yes,
Unit
sir.
ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
orders. Yes, sir. Awaiting orders. Reporting.
Unit lost.
Comrade.
Unit ready.
Yes,
Building.
sir. Vehicle reporting. Reporting. Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir. Acknowledge.
Building. Unit ready.
Comrade. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting. Acknowledge. Vehicle
Unit
reporting.
ready. Building.
Acknowledge. Yes, sir. Acknowledge.
Unit ready. Building.
Yes,
Unit
sir.
ready.
Acknowledge. Waiting for
Orders.
acknowledge. Vehicle reporting. Affirmative. Waiting order. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Comrade. Reporting. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Acknowledge.
Unit lost.
Affirmative.
Unit lost. Unit lost.
Acknowledge. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building. On
Acknowledge.
hold.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Comrade. Acknowledge. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledge.
Unit lost.
Acknowledge. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge.
Construction complete.
Acknowledge. Acknowledge.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledge.
Cannot deploy here. Building. Unit ready. Building. Cannot deploy here.
Reporting.
Unit ready. Building. Unit ready. Building. Unit lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledge.
Building.
Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledge.
ready.
Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledge.
Unit
Acknowledge.
ready.
Acknowledge.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledge.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledge. Acknowledge. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building. Construction complete. Unit ready.
Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Acknowledge.
Building.
Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledge. Affirmative.
Unit lost. Unit
Acknowledge.
ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledge.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge.
Unit ready.
Acknowledge. Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Acknowledge.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledge.
ready.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Affirmative.
lost.
Affirmative.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Acknowledge. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledge. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Insufficient
Affirmative.
funds.
Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Acknowledge.
Unit
Acknowledge.
lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledge. Acknowledge. Affirmative.
Unit
Affirmative.
lost.
Acknowledge.
Unit ready.
Acknowledge.
Building.
Affirmative.
Unit
Acknowledge.
lost.
Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledge.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledge.
Unit
Acknowledge.
lost.
Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledge.
Unit
Affirmative.
lost.
Acknowledge. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Acknowledge.
Building.
Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Acknowledge.
Building.
Acknowledge. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledge. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge. 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 Affirmative.
Unit lost. Unit ready. Building.
Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building. On hold. Cancel. Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unable to comply. Building in
Affirmative.
progress.
Acknowledged.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Lost. Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Reporting.
Building.
Comrade.
Unit ready. Building.
Comrade.
Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building. Unit
Acknowledged.
ready.
Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building.
Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building. Unit ready. Unit ready.
Affirmative.
Building. Unit
Acknowledged.
ready.
Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building. Unit ready. Building. Unit ready.
Waiting order. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building. Unit ready. Building. Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Building. Unit ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Waiting order. Affirmative.
Mission accomplished.